Welcome back to Sonic Dream Team.
Oh
Let's
my god, it's
go.
loud.
Yeah, this that's why at the first part I didn't spam through those because the audio just stacks on top of itself over and over. um, but
Apple
yeah, now
Arcade for the win.
now we got Knuckles and Rouge, and I like these characters in this game, and I love this zone quite a bit. This is the most lost worldy the game gets.
Okay.
And you will see why in approximately 2 seconds, possibly
I
more.
saw it was called. Oh, I saw it was called Nightmare Haze. Does it go for horror at all, or not really?
A little bit, but it's mainly because of that like guardian thing, the like dream guardian
Hmm.
thing that
I wouldn't be
Eggman
like full
unleashed.
horror or anything, but like something like haunted
Yeah,
castle
no,
or hang castle.
it's not like haunted vibes or anything. It's really just like this place is being corrupted actively by that guardian thing. So yeah.
Man, now I want a Sonic psychological horror game.
You know what? That sounds like something that would have been made in like the early to mid 2000s.
Sonic.exe, but it's a real Sonic game. With like momentum and physics and level design that just starts fucking with you as you go. Like, come on, guys. Like, imagine if you're running through Green Hill and you hear the siren from Silent Hill.
Oh my god. You know what? Yeah, as a kid, I actually had an idea for something like that. Where it was basically based on that Fleetway version of Supersonic. If you know what I'm talking about, that like crazy evil Supersonic from Sonic the Comic.
I've seen a couple images of it, but mainly from Sonic shorts.
Yeah, it's basically that. Like, Sonic tries to go like at the start of the game. It's sort of like an Unleashed type thing, where at the start of the game, it's like Sonic's final battle with Eggman, and he tries to go super, but there's something wrong with the Chaos Emeralds, and he gets like corrupted. And basically, the whole game is you playing as the other characters trying to avoid Sonic, who's like rampaging through the world and stuff.
Damn,
But
that's just a more fleshed out Sonic.exe, and I'd be all there. I'd be there for it.
yeah,
That'd
it's
be kind of sick.
it's also closer to something that they would actually make because they wouldn't make like demon evil Sonic with blood eyes,
Mm.
you know. So, but yeah, look at the trippy stuff. Everything's spinning around, and we can just like casually run on the walls and ceilings of this place.
This is
It's
definitely the best looking level I've seen in terms of design.
yeah, I love the art
Because some of the
style here.
others were a bit too what's the word? Easy, I guess, looking. Like it looked like it was
Yeah,
just pretty simple. This looks like it has more involved platforming, especially something like this. God damn. I was not
yeah.
expecting that.
This whole area here actually is like this big platforming section where you can run on the walls.
Hmm.
Um,
I also
there's
like the music
various,
a lot.
yeah. Not sure why I paused there, but oh, I was checking to see the red rings because you can do that.
No.
But yeah, it's still a very short stage, like all the rest of them are. But I really quite like the aesthetic of this zone.
Hmm.
Especially, yeah, compared to zones 1 and 2, which feel very like well, this zone feels very clean as well, but like compared to the other two zones, those feel very vanilla, I want to say, like for a platformer aesthetics, you know?
Hmm.
I wouldn't say this is that far away from it, but I think like the especially in Act 2 and 3 where it like changes things up more and more.
No, this kind of reminds me of like the midway point of Sonic Heroes. Like once you get to Frog Jungle or Frog Forest,
Rock Forest, yeah.
where the level design I think becomes a lot more distinct and interesting, and they play around with the concepts more
Mhm.
compared to some of the lighter stuff with like Seaside Hill and Grand Metropolis.
Yeah. It definitely this zone feels more like definitely more Sonic-y in terms of the environment design. I would say.
Yeah. No,
Um,
this looks great. Now I need that. This is like the strongest I've wanted to actually play this game.
Yeah. For me, yeah, Zone 3 is probably like the best one. They did say this game's gonna get DLC because, that's just the phase of Sonic that we're in right now. Is
Hey, as
DLC
someone who
time.
wanted more DLC and better DLC for Unleashed in 06, I'm okay with that.
I mean, I would say the Frontiers DLC is about on par with the Unleashed DLC.
I disagree, but
It's just like
the Frontiers
type of
DLC
design.
is about where I want it to be, just a bit more polished.
Oh, by the way, did you like the '06 way of gliding? Because that's how the characters glide in this game. They drop like a freaking rock. It ends up.
I
It
didn't think it
works
was too
out
bad in 06 because there's not really too much distance you need to travel, so I think it's fine enough.
unless you're in that jungle stage.
Uh
Because there's a lot of
Kind of, because
places
I don't.
where
That jungle stage isn't as open though in the original game. It is though in PO6.
no, it has all the paths in PO6 are there in the original. Like he did not change the level design there, other than maybe some enemy placements and stuff. Like you can go
Okay.
everywhere in that level. Like that's like a big sandbox stage, pretty much. And that level feels the most like a traditional like treasure hunting stage in '06, and it's just like you can't really glide anywhere that well because
Okay.
yeah, you just kind of drop. But in this game it works out because the levels are very condensed. There's not a whole lot of like spread out things. Like this area is pretty spread out, but you never need to be able to glide across this whole freaking area because you can homing attack like all the other characters. You can grind on the rails like all the other characters. So overall, I'd say the glide characters are very good in this game.
You saying you don't have to purchase the homing attack?
No,
What kind of game is this?
it's
What is this
it's
shit?
a game that is better than Sonic Frontiers Final Horizon.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Oh, okay. Final Horizon.
Yeah,
Maybe.
specifically Final Horizon.
Okay,
I
maybe.
also personally enjoyed this more. Okay, so real quick, now that we fully completed Zone 2, Zone 1 has more shit to do. That's what I was talking about in the last part. And
It's
that's why
secret
this
rings,
part
yay!
that's why this part is significantly longer than all the other parts so far, is because yeah, we're going to have to freaking fully complete Zone 1 now, which has 6 extra stages to go through.
This is some secret ring shit, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, it's honestly it's pretty much the same structure as Sonic Colors, except they just like make you wait to unlock levels from previous acts until later. So
I mean,
it's like
it kind
the
of
same
was
kind
like
of thing.
that because you can't get all the red rings unless you go back.
Yeah,
So instead of it being optional if you want the collectibles, now it's just required.
yeah.
So feel how you will about that. Oh, they got the flight extenders. This is Heroes. Yay.
Yeah, some of these flight challenges get pretty tight, especially in Zone 4, which we'd see next part.
Hell yeah.
Really, like it never gets like too extreme ever. It's never gonna reach Final Horizon's level of difficulty.
Damn.
But
It should be. We should all learn. Every game developer should learn from Sonic Frontiers Final Horizons.
I disagree. I think okay, you know what? They should learn from it. That's how you don't make a challenging game.
I should preface. Yes, I am playing it up. I think there's a lot of flaws, but I do like it more than Jelly Lord does. Clearly,
Yeah.
I feel like I should preface that.
I mean, I think if any of you watched our commentary on that, you would get that from how we were discussing it.
You watched the commentary, right?
Please.
You watched all of the commentaries,
You
right?
know, we have quite a bit of Sonic content on this channel. If that's
Yeah,
what you're
go watch
here
something
for.
that's not Sonic, please.
Yeah, you know what? And also, if you're a Sonic fan that only really plays Sonic games, play other games, please. A lot of them are really good. If Sonic
Damn.
is your metric for like quality video games, then you if you play other game series, you might have your mind blown. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick. I wish I was recording my screen now, because for the last 10 seconds, this video was bugging the fuck out. And like audio distortions, video distortions, like it's all fucked up.
Well, that sounds like a you problem because it's done.
It was 100% a me and a me only problem, but damn, I wish I ever recorded that. That shit was funny. It looked like the fucking Porygon episode of Pokemon.
It's Sonic.exe fucking with you.
Oh god, the curse is real.
You've invoked his name and now he's infested your laptop.
This is when the boss music from Sonic CD starts playing. Oh god, I'm fucked. Okay, I could go for some Sonic CD. The other day I was playing Mania for a bit. I only made it past Chemical Plant, but like, I was having some fun.
I just recently replayed through Sonic 1 and 2, both on my actual Sega Genesis.
Ooh.
And, you know, that was a really, really, it was a good experience, you know? I played it on the CRT, so all the pixels look like, you know, how they were originally intended to look on those old TVs and stuff, so.
We're talking about these games like we haven't played them before.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true.
Okay, well, I haven't played a classic Sonic game since, not excluding Origins, since I recorded Sonic 3. Since I recorded Sonic 3 for our channel.
You mean excluding Superstars?
Oh, Superstars, yeah, that one. Fuck.
Because you didn't record Origins.
I didn't record Superstars either. We'll leave that out of the curtain now.
Well, Superstars is fucking done with now.
I'm just here to record commentary. I've never played a Sonic game in my life.
Man. I like to imagine the timeline where I'm not a Sonic fan sometimes.
I like to imagine the timeline where I didn't get Sonic Unleashed when I was about to go to college.
Yeah, and this channel wouldn't exist.
I think I'd be happier.
Unless you played like a different Sonic game and I came out and was like, hey, that's a Sonic game.
Who knows?
Yeah. I've also been
Have we done this zone before?
Yeah, this is Act 3 of Scrambled Shores, the first zone.
Oh.
I'm
struggling to remember this.
Well, that first path we did kind of speed blitz through initially as Sonic, but you know, the level design here is also altered for the Knuckles version.
Okay.
They do slightly tweak the levels. Sometimes there's a whole extra added platforming section, a la like the floating platforms and shit in Frontiers. But sometimes, you know, you're just doing platforming that's already existing within the level, but you didn't necessarily do it in your first playthrough of it because you weren't playing as that specific character. So like all that Knuckles climbing section there at the end was all in the original version of that stage. I just didn't do it because I was Sonic or Amy.
Okay.
And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I love the crystal collecting stages in this. They are like, I mean, I could have maybe done without there being the notification of each thing on my screen, as you can see, because it's very mobile game-esque. It's like, oh, all of the collectibles are over here and over here. An
Emerald Radar would be great.
Yeah,
but...
or, you know, just like, I don't think you even need a radar for this. It's a very, like, it's not, like, these levels aren't as big as some of the Knuckles treasure collection stages. and like you can switch characters. It's very quick to explore these areas. So like, I don't think this even needed a radar. I think it would have been more fun to just explore around and find them yourselves. So, but
I
this
don't know
is
if you
like,
saw, but oh, sorry, finish up.
I was just gonna say this is like an evolution on the Knuckles treasure hunting stages from Adventure that I really quite like.
Okay.
That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. No, that's what was giving me the vibes of, and that's all. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I could also go for some Adventure 2, honestly. Normally I don't.
Oh,
Normally
yeah.
I want to play Adventure
Dude.
1 over 2, but like 2, that sounds good right now.
I
Anyways.
was.
Oh.
I'm
Finish what
so
you were gonna
sorry.
say again.
Yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say, because you mentioned SA2, I'm like, yeah, I really want to fucking replay that one too. Because the reason I was even replaying the classic games was because I found this YouTube channel that I quite like. Let me look up his exact name. It's Pariah 695, and he
Fit it
does
right in with Shadow 759.
yeah, he does great Sonic content videos. He's got videos on all the like he's got a series called Sonic Was Always Good, which is basically him just reviewing all of the mainline Sonic titles. And then he also has the story of Sonic games as a series, and he does like a full deep dive on the lore of each of the games. And I was replaying the classic games because there's a lot of lore from those games that I didn't know about that gave me like a much greater appreciation of those games, even though I already fucking love those games to death. So I don't know. I never really, I guess I never really knew the like full original Japanese Sonic lore. And then, you know, his video on SA2 and stuff reminded me how much I do love the story of that game and everything. And yeah,
It's something I've always loved in concept, but when I actually played the game and saw it all in context, I always just kind of felt, oh, this is it? Man, this just always seems better on paper, or hell, it's sometimes even presented better in fucking Sonic X. Just because that's at least dedicated to only story. But
Sonic X also, in the Japanese version, also implemented some of the cut dialogue from SA2, which is, you know, really freaking cool.
yeah.
Because for SA2 specifically, there's like this whole subtext with Shadow's character that you really don't get in the English dub that much, and it's also like partially obscured by the fact that some of the lore was kept to like a manual, like story description, like in a game manual.
Can I just say real quick, this is not the music I was expecting for a level with Cream. Jesus Christ.
But yeah,
what are you saying?
all of these treasure hunting stages have like a more low key theme.
We see there's lo-fi hip hop, and then there's Nox Arcana. Or John Carpenter.
It's also like you can switch the characters at will. I just happened to choose Cream because I was shit.
Whoa, shit.
I just happened to choose Cream because
she's adorable. I get it.
Well, I was like trying to be as even as possible with my character selections across this whole game, but yeah. I don't know
what were we talking about with SA2?
Oh yeah, so like there's like this whole massive subtext with Shadow's character in that game that only really exists in the Japanese version. There's like some of it in the American version, and like I said, it was partially obscured by little tidbits that were only in the like game's Japanese manual and never actually in the game's story. So do you remember the scene in SA2 where Shadow confronts Rouge in the Ark chamber where all the emeralds are, because she was about to steal him, and he was like gonna like totally ruin her plan there, but then she goes into like this big tirade about what she found on the Project Shadow files and how he might not even be the real Shadow or whatever.
How can you forget that?
Yeah. Well, that's actually a more important scene than initially thought, because in some cut. Oh, well, it's not cut. It's like in the game's manual. I think actually in the Japanese dub, this particular fact, maybe Rouge says. I'm not actually sure on the context of it. I think it might be. It's not in the story, in the game, but it's in like the game manual or something. Apparently, the capsule that Shadow was initially dropped out of from the Space Colony Ark was never recovered. It was never found. So that introduces the possibility that the Shadow we are playing as in SA2 is not actually the Shadow, the original Shadow. And so Shadow sort of throughout the story is basically trying to prove to himself that he is indeed the real Shadow, because he's unsure if his memories are even his. So
damn, I want Shiro Maekawa back writing for Shadow, because like
Shadow specifically,
SA2 SA2 Heroes and 06, Shadow did great under his writing. I think he was always the most on point character for a lot of those. And it's very clear as soon as you watch Izuka write Shadow's story for Shadow the Hedgehog, Shiro Maekawa, it's his character.
Shiro Maekawa wrote Shadow the Hedgehog.
No, he didn't. It was wrote by Izuka.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That Shiro Maekawa did not write any of the story for that game?
He did not. I'm looking it up.
Because I'm pretty sure he did.
Pretty sure it was just Izuka. Yep, Takashi Izuka is the only writer for Shadow the Hedgehog. Let me see if I can pull up the Sega Retro page, because I'll have a full list of the credits. And then Shiro Maekawa also wrote the stories for Secret Rings and Black Knight, but I don't think he's credited on either for some reason.
Well, there's also the fact that in Japanese, Shadow is actually way more in character for Shadow the Hedgehog. So that's why I was like, maybe Shiro Maekawa did write part of it, but I guess he didn't. But it's really the main issues with the characterization of Shadow are dubisms.
Yeah, scenario writer Takashi Izuka.
Yeah, like Shadow the Hedgehog is like plagued with like localization issues. It's still like most of the stories don't make sense, and it is actually written in such a way where none of those playthroughs are actually canon. So there's I think at least Shadow's characterization in that game is not terrible, because everyone complains about it because Shadow would never do something like this, but they're talking about the Shadow from SA2 who had his memories.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm pretty sure based on my research that Shadow 06 and Secret Rings were all developed at one point around the same time. Like, obviously Shadow finished first, and 06 and Secret Rings had a bit more development after that, but like, if you look at the staff between them, it's between Shadow and Secret Rings, it's most of the staff from from the adventure games and Heroes, but then 06 is mostly a lot of newer staff who mainly went on to support roles for the next couple games, and then a lot of them are either gone or now the heads, with combining with the new people who are on Kishimoto's team for Secret Rings. And it's really fascinating.
Yeah. And, that's also very much part of the issue with Sonic as a series, is that the staff has never, it's not the most consistent thing in existence, especially when there's no like the longest figurehead we've had in like the lead, one of the lead roles of the Sonic team is fucking Izuka, and he started with Sonic Adventure as like a lead type person. So
yeah, and unfortunately for Izuka, the only game I can really feel that's entirely his is probably SA2. So I think SA1 very much shows the pressures of him first starting, and SA2 is definitely his most refined work in terms of knowing what he wanted, I think.
I mean, I would argue that his most refined work was Shadow the Hedgehog. I think
I'm talking,
Shadow...
okay, when I say refined, I'm not talking about gameplay and glitch free. I'm talking about a clearly finished product that has everything it needed.
I think Shadow the Hedgehog has everything Izuka wanted in that game.
Bullshit.
I think it does. I think it has everything he wanted to include in that game. That's one of those Sonic games where I don't feel like there's a lot of like cut content or massive changes during development. Like even SA2 originally was just going to be Sonic, Shadow, or not, it was just going to be Sonic, Knuckles, Eggman as the playable characters through one story, but apparently there was a lot of outcry for Tails, so they ended up just making extra characters for all the existing play styles they had, and
I disagree, because I think all of them are pretty integrally written into the story.
Knuckles is not. Knuckles could not be there. The only thing Knuckles does is do the whole Master Emerald, the servers are the 7 Chaos thing at the end of the game.
Okay, the Knuckles aside.
Knuckles, and apparently he was one of the only 3 characters that were originally going to be in the game. So, but it's also like, it's very clear that they did do that because they did for like all the extra stages for like Shadow, Rouge, and Tails, which would be the characters that they added after whatever. They are all reusing level themes that the other 3 characters already did, and a lot of them have worse design than the Sonic, Knuckles, and Eggman versions of the stages. So I don't know.
I might
this
just
is
do
coming.
I'm gonna do a full replay of SA2.
This
so
is
I can have more
also
to say on it.
This is also coming from someone who loves SA2 as it is, and I love that game to death. That's like one of my favorite Sonic games. But they definitely had a bunch of changes that happened in development, especially like you can tell with the story, because that story I don't think was originally written as a experience it from 2 perspectives type thing. I think it definitely flows better and feels more like a real Sonic story, or not like a real Sonic story. It feels like a more well put together and easy to follow thing when you put it all chronologically and like play everything as one story rather than, you know, experiencing half the story and then the other half.
I will say they definitely had more grace with that in 06.
Yes.
I think all of its stories are handled pretty separately while also having a nice grand narrative. Especially because they started out well in SA2, making it so, you know, obviously the heroes you're probably going to pick first have the lighter end of the story, but it's still confusing as all hell, so you need to obviously play the dark story, but a lot of things in the dark story depend on what happens in the hero story, which you may forget. And I think it was handled a lot better in 06, where the Sonic story pretty much until the last episode, is almost entirely self-contained. You get interactions from other characters, which obviously make you want to know what's going on with them. But then you get the main linked story from Shadow and Silver's perspectives.
Yeah.
Where they have a lot, their playthroughs are a lot more intertwined. And I think it's handled very well for what it is.
Yeah, you know what? 06, oddly enough, is the story that does the whole Sonic Adventure split campaigns type thing. The best, I would say. Some would argue SA1, but I think SA1 feels pretty disjointed, especially because like the whole main plot line involving Chaos is split across all three stories. And it's very easy to forget what happens.
I think what we've discovered is that 06 is actually the best story.
You know what? It's
implied bestiality aside.
See, I don't know if it makes me a furry to say this, but I genuinely don't really even see much of a problem with the whole Sonic Elise romance, other than the fact that it's not written well.
Yeah, it's not written well, but like when I played it, and before I played the game, I had watched all of the cutscenes compiled on YouTube and thought it was the greatest story ever. So I never had issues with it, and I never made the connection in my head. I talked about this in one of our group chats once, but I think the story of that game would have been much better received if the game itself was good. I think because the story had some iffy elements and the game was already being attacked, everything was just free-for-all.
Yeah. Off camera at one point, you said the story is about as flawed as SA2, and I would say it's definitely a little more flawed than SA2, other than the fact that it does the whole split campaigns thing way better. Because like the way time travel works in that plot line is not how it should work at all, and it makes no sense. And of course, the Sonic
both
Elise
games have
romance.
A lot of goofy elements that really take you out of it, and just when you look at the plot written on a piece of paper versus how it's actually executed on both games, there's a lot of flaws, and that's kind of what I meant when I said they were as broken as this. They're about the same being broken wise, because both try to have an involved plot with, some kind of thing going, but instead of just the basic we gotta stop the baddie, like in Secret Rings or any other Sonic game outside of the story heavy ones.
Yeah. And I think if nothing else, I think 06's story is definitely, it's nowhere near as bad as anyone says it is. Like you can not like it for sure, like go ahead if it's not your kind of Sonic story. Like if you're the kind of person that's like, Sonic doesn't need a story, Sonic should just be about gameplay and nothing else, then sure, whatever. But like even in the early days of Sonic, the classic games, they still had an element of storytelling there that I appreciate being there more than I would just be like, oh yeah, I just want the gameplay and nothing else, That's just my perspective on things, because like the overall Sonic story, it's very inconsistent, there's lots of plot holes and whatnot. But like from game to game, I do like there being an interesting story, and if they're gonna even have a story in the game, they may as well try to make it good. I'd much rather them try to make something good than to just be like, whatever, let's just have Sonic making jokes every 2 seconds. And
So I was gonna bring this up earlier, but then we went into 20 minutes of SA2, and I was going to say Sonic Prime is releasing on Blu-ray for Season 1. And it was like $13, and I saw that and I was like, you know what? I didn't actually finish Season 1, but fuck it, I'm buying this and maybe I'll actually finish it.
I'm kind of upset that they are selling it piecemeal like that, because If
I think
anyone
it's at
knows
least
how,
the whole season.
well, see, that's what I was about to get into. If anyone knows how Netflix works, like they'll order like a certain amount of episodes for a season, but then they'll release them in batches and call them separate seasons. So really, season 1, 2, and 3 are all one big season that they just split into 8 episodes each. You know, it's not something that bothers me that much. I just kind of am gonna wait for them to like
Yeah.
release the whole show as one Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's only a problem if you're actually trying to buy a physical copy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not much of a problem. The only time I remember the whole batch release thing being an issue was JoJo Part 6. Because everyone hated the way that was released. And I kind of agreed. So. But, anyway, Sonic Dream Team.
Oh yeah, we're talking about this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of fitting that we did talk a lot about Sonic Adventure because this game, in terms of structure, like the story is obviously one story and everything, but oddly, in terms of structure, there are some elements of the adventure games here. Like, oddly specifically, there are 6 playable characters, which is like Sonic Adventure. That's like when I was a kid, that was like one of the defining features of Sonic Adventure was the fact that there were 6 playable characters specifically for some reason. So whenever I tried to make my dream Sonic Adventure 3, I'd always limit myself to 6 playable characters.
Well, it's like as a kid going into Sonic Unleashed in colors and shit, always had me confused on why I could only play as Sonic. I'm like,
Yeah.
but I'm used to heroes. There's 4 teams here. Technically 12 playable characters,
Yeah.
but it's just 4 playable characters. Let's be real, people.
Yeah. And this game, it's really just 3 playable characters, because like each of the types play exactly the same as one another. Oh yeah, here's some Vertigo for you. You can just walk on that inner tube. This is why this is the most Lost World level. Act 2, I don't know if you were paying attention, it had a whole freaking tube section like Lost World.
It kind of reminded me of the Lost World stage from Adventure, actually.
Yeah,
especially with all
the
the wall running and shit, and it
Yeah.
being kind of mysterious. I kind of got those vibes from it.
Yeah, I get to where you're coming from, and there's also like a ton of like stone structures and everything all over the place, and that's. But yeah, for this game, I think there's a lot of people out there that like for Sonic Colors, they dislike Sonic Colors because the wisps are there as power-ups for Sonic, but a lot of them sort of just act like abilities that other Sonic characters could have, so I kind of would rather just play as other Sonic characters. This game kind of is basically the same structure as Sonic Colors, but it's fully 3D, and instead of Wisp, it has alternate playable characters. So it is kind of like someone was like, okay, what's the main complaint with Sonic Colors? Let's make a game that just fixes that. And then this game was born. And you know what? That's kind of cool. And I can see where people are coming from with, the Wisps. They feel like the Wisps are replacing playable characters. But I do disagree with that. I think the Wisps, their abilities are different enough from the characters as we know them that they're interesting in their own right. But I do like how this game is structured, where it's very classic Sonic in the level design, where the levels are designed for all these different playable characters. And that, like I've said it before, I'll say it again, that is something I have wanted in Sonic for as long as I can remember, in 3D Sonic. And it feels good. It feels really good.
This is just a random thought, but can we get a new design for Amy?
Can
we get rid of the fucking mini skirt? I'm tired of having to play these games and hoping I don't have to look up it. Because, like,
Okay, well,
any anime I watch, yeah, go for it, 100%. But Sonic the Hedgehog with anthropomorphic characters,
yeah.
no. Get that shit out of here.
Well, you know, if you pay attention, other than her like render in this, Amy's dress in this is actually angled down a lot more, so it covers her legs a lot more. In-game model and her like animations and stuff. And
It makes me. You see, I think it's sad when developers have to think about that because in the game, Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13, you have like over 80 to 90 costumes in the game your character can wear, all of them viewable in cutscenes. Yeah. And apparently, the one thing they painstakingly put time into was making sure you could never see her underwear in any of the cutscenes, no matter what outfit she was wearing.
Oh my god!
I think there's a problem here.
See, Sonic Team.
I'm just saying, let's just have a character design change, like new outfits. Come on, it'd be great.
Okay, you
did it with Rouge and Heroes. Just saying.
You say just redesign Amy. I'm all for all the Sonic characters getting a slight touch up in their designs.
You know what? Sonic Boom was in the right step. People bitched about it, but you know what? I love the characters' designs in that, and we should try more things like that. But now Sega's scared to, because fucking Sonic Boom got poorly received.
For the mainline series, at least, I think something like the Boom designs might be a touch too far in that.
They're too far, direction. But like I don't think it's a bad idea, and I'd like to see more with it. Like I don't need Sonic to have nothing but bandages on him, but like I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, but like
maybe a couple things show like some wear and tear. I don't know. He's done a lot. I want him to look like he's done a lot. Like the closest we've gotten is either Sonic Unleashed, where he turns into the Werehog, or Sonic Frontiers, where he has a different animation set, depending on how tired he is from corruption.
Yeah. Well, see, what I would like to see, for Sonic especially, because Sonic is this very adventurous type person. He's always running around, traveling the world and stuff. I would like to see him, and maybe wearing some like slightly different outfits now and then, because he's like experiencing other cultures all the time. Maybe he did pick up like a scarf or an ascot from on one of his journeys, and he's just wearing it.
Holy shit! Sonic Unleashed needed an outfit generator for Sonic. Holy shit! I've never thought of this.
Sonic Unleashed.
Why didn't it have it? Oh my goodness,
Sonic
that would have been
Unleashed,
perfect.
That's like Sonic Unleashed does the whole world adventure thing so well. I'm so surprised that they didn't actually go and give like Sonic different outfits. That would have been so good for that game. Oh my
goodness. That's such a good that's such a missed opportunity.
And then talk about missed opportunities. You got an open world, more RPG-esque Sonic title in Sonic Frontiers, and they do make an outfit system in that, but they relegate it to DLC.
It's absolute dog shit.
I know. It pissed me off. But like, yeah, like I don't know. I think Sonic characters wearing other clothing is pretty cool, and a lot of fan artists do stuff with that, and it just makes me want that in the games. But then it's like there are also those people that are like, oh, don't let the Sonic fans decide anything because they would add weird shit. But I'm just like, I just want cool outfits for Sonic to wear, and like maybe some momentum physics. Like that would be my contribution.
Sonic Unleashed is like the last game to put a ton of time and polish into non-level gameplay elements.
Yeah.
Like they have the entire food system, they have a quest system with all NPCs have dialogue that can change throughout the game.
Yeah.
All stuff that you can do outside of levels. And, they'll try new stuff with levels, they'll try new gameplay ideas, but it's only in levels, like with Lost World and Colors and shit.
And it's also, like, Unleashed is the last Sonic game that really feels like a AAA video game. Like, pretty much all the other Sonic games up to that point, all the mainline ones, they did feel like very content rich, very fleshed out, unless it was like an unfinished package like '06 or something. But they all felt like very AAA, you know? And then after that, the series very much went in the whole gameplay first direction. And I can't say that's a bad direction to go in, but I do miss a lot of the like side stuff that these games have. This game does
honestly
not have
the only
that
time
at
I
all.
think it works was for Generations. It being an anniversary game and a refinement of Unleashed gameplay, I think it did everything it needed to perfectly. But like Colors, like if it had a slightly more involved story than what it had, I think would have been perfect.
Yeah.
And same thing with Lost World. Well, okay, maybe not Lost World because the Deadly Six are already flawed, but you know, one can dream.
Yeah. The you know the premise of each Sonic game is obviously going to be wildly different from game to game, because that's just what they want to do with Sonic. They want to do something new each game. And that's fine, but like the things I really care about being consistent are like just like basic gameplay feel and quality, as well as like the characterizations of the characters. And those things have not been consistent at all. And it makes me very sad. But it's like I still enjoy like Sonic Colors and stuff, you know, and I still enjoy Lost World. They're just missing something, you know.
Yeah, they're just kind of mid-tier games.
And oddly enough, like this game fits in that same sort of vibe, but like I think it's a step above, purely because there was more thought put into like the basic control physics and level design, you know. Oh yeah, real quick to cut this conversation off for a second, this area right here is made for this collectathon stage, and I'm now out of it. You can still access it in the main version of the level, but there's no way to actually get in there. Like, because you're supposed to take that Lightspeed Dash trail that I just took to get in there, but that Lightspeed Dash trail doesn't exist in the main version of the stage. So I, on my first playthrough, spent like a good solid 15 to 20 minutes trying to get in there because I was missing a red ring and I didn't know where it was. So I was like, it's got to be in there. I see rings. I see dash rings and stuff over there. It's got to be in there. So I like spent 15 minutes trying to get in there, and I get in there and there's just nothing in there. But you can still walk around on the platforms and stuff, and I'm like, what is this? And it wasn't until the collectathon stage that I just unlocked after the third zone completed, by the way, that I figured out what it was for. But yeah, like I like this game quite a bit, but I like it in the same way I like Sonic Colors and Lost World, you know. It gets a lot of things better than those two games, but in general it's the same kind of Sonic game. Very gameplay focused, very straightforward story. I do like the characterizations of the characters in this quite a bit, though.
Yeah, they're very on point for how little they have to do with the story, you know?
Yeah. Like Rouge, she doesn't really get to do much Rouge things, because like Rouge's thing is how flirty she is, but she doesn't really do that much in this. But other than that, I would say like Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Cream are all like really, really great in this game. I love the character interactions a lot. I love, like, I had a whole spiel last part about Sonic's like little mini speech about how Cream is becoming a hero and stuff, and I love that shit.
Hmm.
Um,
It's adorable as fuck.
it is adorable as fuck. And you know, you'd think Tails is Sonic's protege, but in like the comics and stuff, it sometimes feels like Cream is. And you know what? I like that just as much.
Hmm.
Because I think Tails is very much his own character, away from Sonic at this point. Especially after Frontiers, where they, you know, reestablished that as part of his character, that he wants to be his own type of hero away from Sonic. So,
Hmm. Uh, yeah. Either make Cream Sonic's protege, or make Shadow her big brother. Go with either one of those routes, and I'll be happy.
yeah. I don't even need it to be like oh, Shadow has a connection with Cream because he had a connection with Maria type thing.
Oh,
I
I don't
just
need that. I
like,
just want them
yeah,
to just have interactions like they have in the comics. That kind of
yeah.
start going that way, and having fun with that.
Make
Little
Cream
suggestions.
make Cream an honorary member of Team Dark.
Yeah, I don't need like a full. I don't need a full plot point out of it. It's just
Yeah,
the little things that help it feel more connected. And the way the comics are handling that, I think if the game started utilizing that in cutscenes, just
yeah,
having little moments to show off their personalities, I think would go a long way. Since none of these are really characters that have character arcs. You know,
yeah,
they had their initial games where they did, but they don't have any since. So if you're not going to give them character arcs, you might as well have that to grow, to help expand what they can do and who they are. So that way you can, still have games like Frontiers where Sage is the protagonist and the character
yeah.
doing everything. And that's fine too. I just want, if you're going to have the other characters, I want them to have the nice flourishes, and
Hmm.
Frontiers and this are a good, great step in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. Um, there are certain things that I think could be done a little better. Like, I know Shadow's whole characterization right now is purely because Sega has some weird fucking mandates with that character. Um, but
Yeah,
like,
or hopefully a reboot, but it can be.
yeah, but like there are some things that I sort of think would make more sense for certain Sonic games. Because like I like these characters, but I really honestly don't need to see them in every video game, you know. Because I kind of mentioned it earlier, Sonic is like this nomad adventurer type character, and it is kind of weird that every adventure that he's in, all the other characters that have been in previous games are also here for some reason.
But what if
Um,
we have a? Let's just have a game with Team Chaotix as sidekicks, and fuck it,
yeah,
maybe Silver. I don't know. You know,
yeah.
something small like that.
Or you know, like I kind of like the if you look at the classic trilogy as like a self-contained sort of thing, or including CD, it kind of makes sense how like Tails, Sonic meets him, and Tails is now following Sonic on all his adventures because Tails wants to be like Sonic. But like certain characters like Knuckles and Amy, like their characters are kind of fulfilled in their own like game, and they don't necessarily have to immediately be in the next game. If they made a next game, they could have a couple of new characters that Sonic meets on his adventures or something. I
Hmm.
don't know. That's why I did like early Sonic a lot when they did introduce new characters all the time. Because it does make sense for Sonic to just meet new people if he's
Right.
constantly traveling the world as he is. So, um, but if they do have like the other characters in this game, I think it'd be nice to show like Sonic running into them or happening to run into them or something, like how Sonic runs into Tails in Unleashed. um, out of coincidence or
Yeah, I think Frontiers is a nice step in the right direction with Knuckles just happening to be there as well.
yeah, yeah, like
And especially because
it.
they made an entire prologue for him to be there. And
Yeah,
that's a nice detail.
yeah. I think Frontiers does it well. I think it's very believable that like Sonic was like taking a break from his travels and stuff, and he was at Tails' workshop, and so Amy was there too or whatever, and then they all happened to be in the room when Tails got that reading on his radar, so they all just hop in the plane and go. Um, it would have been, I
Hmm.
think, if a different writer was writing Frontiers, I think Knuckles would just be on the plane with the other characters. Because I think Ian Flynn gets the fact that Knuckles should be on the island most of the time, and
Yeah, I
they
will
should
say the
have
only fault
a
to
reason.
this is that
Mhm.
the Knuckles prologue doesn't appear at all in the game.
Yes,
I think
and
this would have been a perfect moment to either have the game start with that as an intro before you load into the start menu, or bring back the glorious start menu cutscene where if you wait there for like 20 seconds, it plays. Because
or
good
even
God, I miss those. And not enough new
or
games do them anymore.
or even like you don't even need to do that much with it. You could just have Knuckles like Sonic be like, "Hey, how the hell did you get here?" And Knuckles sort of like flashes back to that animation, and then you have like the whole animation exist as like the YouTube video if you want to, but like have little snippets of it be part of Knuckles' flashback or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like they should. That's something that I've had a problem with Sonic for a long time. It sort of started with Mania, but Mania Adventures is very much its own self-contained little thing. Um, but like
The Mania Adventures
Son
are in Origins at least.
yeah, which came out, like
Yeah, 5
four
years later.
years, yeah, 5 years, something like that. But yeah, like what was the specific example? Okay, so Sonic Forces and Lost World have really dumb and bad prequel comics. Um, and then Sonic Frontiers also has a prequel comic and a prologue animation. Um, but like none of that context is in the actual game. All you get in the game is, oh, Sonic is flying with Tails and Amy on the tornado to the islands because they got a reading
Mm-hmm.
from the emeralds or something. And then suddenly they're in cyberspace. And Knuckles is here too for some reason. So if you just play the games, you have like no real context as to why Knuckles is there. You don't really know why the characters are going there. You don't. Yeah, it's if they're not going to include that stuff, they should at least give us a couple lines of dialogue that explain that stuff. But eh,
You know the last time I saw this in a franchise?
what?
Near Automata, baby.
Oh, for
It
fuck's
all
sake!
comes back to Near.
Every time Frontiers is uttered in a part, so will Near.